Okay, so I'm Matt, and this video is the second part of my weighted Sorcerous Cup run from the Brighton community last night. Joined today by Beckachu, otherwise known as Dan, not formerly known as Dan, he's also known as Dan, who is a leader in the Handforth and Wilmslow, is that right?
Yeah, Handforth and Wilmslow.
Yeah, and you're also heavily involved in All Stars, I believe, as well. So I'm sure a lot of people, a lot of local players will recognise him. You okay, Dan?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks for having me, Matt. I'm looking forward to this. You had a good run for it, so
yeah, ended up going well, 5-2. Put the losses up last night, along with a sort of breakdown of my team. So I'll not be going through my team again. Other than the fact that it's Bronzong, Azumarill, Alolan Muck, Noctowl, Alolan Raticate, and Quillfish. What are your thoughts on that team?
I like Quillfish, to be honest. I really do like Quillfish. It seems it's got the big hitting move, which is great, but it's quite fast shooting and stuff. I wasn't a fan of Alolan Raticate until I've seen and played against you, to be honest, and now I'm scratching around to see if I can find one that's good enough and make the investment into it. The rest of your team is, well, they all feature on my team, if I'm honest.
Yeah, it's pretty standard, that 4, isn't it?
Yeah, for obvious reasons as well. There are obvious differences. Some people are going with Poison Jab Muck, some people are going with Snarl Muck, but it's fairly standard and fairly good, I'd say.
Yeah, pretty pleased with it. And I think that the thing with Quillfish is that it's really quite frail, actually, like frailer than I realised it was going to be. So I think what I learned quite quickly is that if you're going to use it, you have to use it as a lead. And I think that's a theme that I'm sure we'll notice as we go through these battles. I don't think so. We're going to look at 15 battles, and I don't think I used Quillfish in the back once. Could be wrong, maybe once or twice perhaps, but predominantly it features as a lead. And it's nice to pair with Alolan Muck and Raticate as well, because most teams will only have one of either or of a fighter or a charmer, and they'll sort of earmark that thing as the answer to Alolan Muck. So if I can lead with Quillfish to try and catch that thing, and if I get a bad lead, I can switch to Alolan Muck to try and draw that thing in, and then Raticate's got free reign in the end. So Quillfish, Alolan Muck, and Raticate work really well together, and we're going to see that in my first battle. So round 1 is against Druva 0-11. That's pretty good pronunciation, I think. I was dreading that. Skuntank, Noctowl, Clefable, Lanoon, and then double Confusion. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, the confusion is there, and going double with it, it's not something I chose to do, but it always does worry me when you've got that in the back, to be honest.
Yeah.
Lanoon, very good pick. Got to be careful of that because it can hit you quite hard with either the Thunder or with the Grass Knot. So, and Clefable as your charmer, it's not going to take as much. So,
yeah. So as I say, I'm going to in game 1 lead with Quillfish and have the double dark in the back. It seems like a fairly obvious route for me to go down, given that he's only got the one heavy sort of anti-dark pick, and he's got double confusion as well. So I might be able to punish that. So I see the Lanoon lead. Not quite sure how it plays out. It's possibly a negative lead, but I know I need to save Quillfish for Clefable regardless. So I'll get an Aqua Tail off, then switch out to a Alolan Muck to try and draw the Clefable in. Muck here is serving a sort of sacrificial role, so I'm quite happy to let that attack through.
That's an interesting switch in there.
Yep. Well, it's what I wanted, and then they let the Sludge Wave through. So this is perfect.
Whoa! Yeah, that's and he switched back to Lanoon, which is Yeah, it seems pointless, the switch, but sure
And
that's not how we thought it'd go.
No, I'm sure. And I'm able to get a Dark Pulse as well, so that's added bonus that I get the shield. So I think I go back to Quillfish just to get some more Water Gun chip. Although Raticate would have been nice as well there, with the Shadow Claws being so heavily resisted. So I'll let this go through. Yeah, Quillfish has done his job there. I was surprised that I survived that, to be fair. And then Hypno in the back. So this is only really going to go. And I sort of make this was round 1, so I was really concentrating hard. And I choose to go for Hyper Fangs rather than Crunches. Just a bit of good practice, I guess. By not revealing Crunch, maybe he thinks I have Hyper Beam. I don't know. It's just, first round of the tournament, really concentrating hard. I'm thinking about everything. So, yeah. Yeah, then Raticate just finishes him off.
I mean, as soon as you brought out the Raticate, it was pretty much all over. He'd saved your shield, so there was no coming back from it.
Yeah, game 2, I'm expecting a Confusion lead to try and counter the Quillfish. So I lead Rat, and I get it right. They go straight to Clefable, so I go straight to Bronzong. Now I've got his Fairy trapped with Double Dark in the back. It's game. Yeah. So
they blocked that time anyway. So
yeah, perhaps learnt their lesson.
Not that you could one-shot it in the same way as you did in the first.
No, I think I'm able to farm down here. Yeah. And then this is great because now I know he's got Linoon and Hypno, so I don't even have to reveal a Lowland Muck in the back. I can just go straight back to Raticate and just Hyper Fang and Quick Attack down and just take the win. So this was a really really nice way to sort of ease myself into the tournament. Not going to lie, it felt quite nice. Fairly straightforward round 1. I'm afraid.
With it being such a big tournament as well, it's clears the nerves and sets you up for a nice.
Yeah, it's always nice having the nerves settled. And again, Hyper Fangs rather than Crunches, it's not going to make any difference to the outcome, but who knows? They might block her. If I can now choose to overcharge, so I put to sort of almost fake a Hyper Beam in round 3 if I'm stuck in against Clefable or Noctowl or something. Then they might choose to shield, but silly really. So then game 3, back to the Quillfish lead with the Double Dark in the back. Perfect lead, catch the Clefable. So all I've got to do is maintain this matchup.
Now, are you going to go for the big hit straight away, or are you going to go for the Aqua Tail?
Yeah, I was never going to go for the big hit there, just trying to get the shield out of him more than anything else. Yeah, I mean, it is a bait, but it's fine because it's the winning move anyway. I think I just let this through just because I can just get some snarls down on it now. Build up a load of energy with Muck without taking too much damage. And Skuntank can't really do much to Muck unless he's got Flamethrower, but I've got 2 shields and a load of energy anyway, so... I
must admit, I don't like Skuntank at all. Mainly because it hurts me so much. But,
See, a lot of people like it as it's a dark poison that can take on Azumarill, but I want my poison type to be able to take on the Charmers as well.
Yeah.
And which is why I think if I was running a dark poison with Poison Jab, I think I'd much prefer Poison Jab Alolan Muck with Acid Spray to beat the Charmers. But I think I think the Snarl set on Muck is so good that it's just too good to not run. And then Quillfish sort of does the role of covering the both Dark Poisons and both Charmers and Azumarill to a certain extent as well. So quite happy with Quillfish as a sort of Stunfisk replacement. Not Stunfisk, Skuntank.
I was going to say Scumfish was last month's map.
Been catching so many of the new Galarian ones today. It's on the mind.
I've got a nice one for Ultra League so far, and I think I got a rank 80 for Great League. So
pretty good going. So yeah, round one was pretty straightforward. I think looking back at the opponent's team and my team, it would have been pretty tough for my opponent to overcome that matchup, I think. So yeah, just an unfortunate matchup from my opponent's perspective. Round two, fuming because I got matched up with Miss Havana, Jen, another local Leeds player. And in a
very good, Jen. She's very, very, very good.
Yeah, very good. But I just thought in a tournament that big, could I not have avoided a local player so early on? And we were both waiting this as well, so one of us was going to have a blow sort of dealt to us early on, which was a shame. But you can't avoid these things, can you?
So she's got a Beedrill in there?
She has. She's got Beedrill, Hypno, Licky Tongue, Azumarill, Muck, Alolan Muck, that is, and Alolan Raticate. And the first thing that jumps out to me, other than the fact that she's got Double Dark, which I need to be careful of, is that she's got no Noctowl counter. And that makes my sort of decision making really, it takes a bit of pressure off, because it means I'll more or less always put a Alolan Muck in the back against most teams. But I can put Noctowl in the back as well now. And it's just a lot of bulk.
I mean, she could theoretically be running Ice on her Azumarill rather than...
Yeah, she could.
Quite quick to get out, and, it could do some damage to your Noctowl, especially if you're not shielding, just thinking you can take it, so...
Yeah, and there's Thunder Punches on Hypno as well, of course. But both those matchups, like Ice Beam Azumarill and Thunder Punch Hypno, which I'm sure she will be running Thunder Punch Hypno, I think they both beat Noctowl, but it's just like, it's minor. It's really minor. So it's not something I'd be scared of getting trapped in versus. So yeah, I'm just going to stick Noctowl and Alolan Muck in the back both games. And in game one, I'm going to choose to lead with Azumarill, just because bulk. No other reason really. So there's the Azumarill lead, and Beedrill comes in, which is bad. I switched to Alolan Muck rather than Noctowl because I'm hoping she'll switch out to respond, and that will leave me the Noctowl Beedrill match later, which I could farm down. But she doesn't. But I get the Snarl off before she gets a chance to switch out, so that's good. Dark Pulse off.
Yeah.
And I've seen how much an Nexus is going to do, so I'm quite happy to let it through.
Do you know what? I'm impressed how much it actually does do, really, because I thought it barely didn't Muck, but does. I know it's not a killer blow, but it hits hard enough.
Yeah, it's stab, isn't it? I think that makes all the difference there. Choose not to shield this. I perhaps could have done and farmed down, but I'm quite happy to take the shield advantage. Spoke about that a bit in my first video. It's something that I saw as key here. So I go back into Azumarill to not reveal my last Pokemon. And I can take anything he's got on at a shield advantage anyway. So I wasn't awake to the fact that it was a Poison Jab Alolan Muck at that point. So I ended up shielding an Acid Spray and having to switch out to clear that debuff.
Poison Jab, though, hits really hard once you've got that Acid Spray. It starts just getting harder and harder, and it's one of the good things about Acid Spray and that combination, should I say.
Yeah, and then she gets an Acid Spray on the Noctowl, so the confusions from Hypno are doing mad amounts of damage as well. So it's going to be a close finish here.
Letting this through.
Yeah, don't want to keep debuffed.
No, it's...
So I'm going for the play rough there, but she beats me to the charge move, so I shield it to make sure I can get the play rough, and this ends up being a really close game. So I undercharge this quite a lot just so I can get a few more bubbles in. And she panics. We spoke about this afterwards. She didn't realize how much energy I needed, so she thought I was going to get back to back, more or less. So she tried sacking the muck to the play rough, but just misjudged it, unfortunately. So that meant I could take the game.
I think she might have had you there.
I think she definitely had me there,
yeah.
So game 2, I used the exact same line, knowing that it works fine. I just need to be a bit more aware of the muck moveset and just not, if I'm stuck in with a zoom reel, just don't shield. So it played out the same way. I switched to the muck and I get a snarl as she gets an X-scissor. But she doesn't shield this time. This is a good matchup for me, really, because nothing muck can do to each other will hurt massively. But I'm going to be faster to those charge moves than she is because I'm Snarl.
Yeah, the poison jab takes its merry old time.
Yeah. And I go into a zoom reel here because I know it's probably a better matchup versus muck than it is against the Beedrill. So it's more about keeping it away from the Beedrill than it is matching it up against the muck.
You can really see the damage there, though, that them poison jabs are doing to you. You just shot down like a rocket.
Yeah, it's quite noticeable, isn't it? The difference that they do. And again, not going to shield it because what's the point when I'm just going to be face down with the Beedrill afterwards? So I switched to Noctowl to try and farm it down. And again, I spoke to Jen afterwards, and she went down with the charge move. So I was really really lucky to kill there. And then I see she's got Licky Tongue in the back, so that's game really because I'm resisting the licks and I'm a shield up, and she's got Beedrill in the back. So Noctowl's pretty dominant in both matchups. So yeah, felt much better about it this time, rather than winning in the sort of suspect circumstances I did in game 1. Shielding the body slams because I'm expecting that they're going to do more than, well, certainly the X-scissors that the Beedrill might get, and I don't think the Beedrill will have time to get to a sludge bomb if that is indeed what she's running as the second move.
No, the Noctowl will just hit it really hard all the way through. So she has got to a move.
Yeah, but yeah, I'd rather have let that through than a body slam from Licky. So game 3, stick with the Noctowl and muck in the back, but I lead with Quillfish rather than Azu because she's been quite keen to. Seems like she's been selectively trying to target down the Azumarill. And she leads the poison jab muck, which is a really good matchup for Quillfish. I know I can tank a Dark Pulse, so I don't shield. Yeah.
Yeah. You're so brave, mate. You're so brave. I mean, it's confidence in your mons, I suppose, but yeah. Looking at it then, I was like, whoa.
It's just bulky enough, Quillfish. It's one of those things where it's just bulky enough to take a hit. Like Toxicroak, similar sort of thing. Frostlass, similar sort of thing. Just bulky enough to take a neutral hit. And I'm able to farm down the muck. I shield this one because I've been acid sprayed, so this Dark Pulse would probably do quite a lot. So I shield that one. But I've got a load of energy now. Beedrill comes in, so just spam the Dark Pulses. So I choose to switch out here. I didn't particularly mean to catch the X-scissor, but just a nice little bonus. I thought I'd switch to clear the debuff and save the Dark Pulse so I can come straight back in with it if I need it. As it turns out,
you've got this.
Yeah.
Licky Tongue.
Yeah. So yeah, it seemed that Jen was quite keen to try and target down the Azumarill again in the third game, but I didn't bring it this time, so it's a bit less successful on her part. Yeah, and that time I'm choosing to let a body slam through because in case I need to shield a Dark Pulse. But I get the switch and I switch in quick and I try and finish it off with a Dark Pulse as well. Just about survives, but to no meaningful sort of extent. So then I can shield this and get another Dark Pulse to finish the game.
Goes off very quickly there at the end.
Yeah. So certainly a much more competitive game than the first round. And then going into round 3, I drew against Aerobubble or Aaron, who continued his streak of always beating me. So that video is on the other part of the video where I spoke through my team and sort of weaknesses. So if you want to go and see that match, you can go and check that one out. And then I moved on to round 4 against Marcelo CC. I think he's based in London. I'm sure I recognise the name from London's Finest. So his team was quite spicy.
Yeah, that's definitely an interesting team there.
Yeah.
And it's the first one you've come up with a fighter as well, which is nice.
Yeah. And again, it's got a fighter, which means it's not got a charmer, or an Azumarill for that matter. No fairy at all. Yeah, so Venomoth and Sandslash really interesting choices. Not sure why you'd run Venomoth personally. Perhaps as a confusion user that's got a hit back on the dark types with Bug Buzz. Yeah,
it could just be that he's got a rank 1 and really wants to use it, because we've all been there where we've like, I'm going to use this Pokemon no matter what.
Yes, we have. Although I would suspect a rank 1 wouldn't have 1476 CP.
Yeah.
But no, I could see it. I could see it with a confusion user to hit back on the darks. To be fair, actually, now I think about it, Sandslash as the steel type. Rather than the Bronzong, which is sort of weak to the dark types that I have on my team, so it's going to have a better matchup there, but much worse against the Azumarill. So that's something I need to bear in mind, because Azumarill does look really good here. And yes, again, my Azumarill loses to the Noctowl and the Muck. Well, it's iffy with Muck, but it's only sort of a slight loss. So as long as I can keep the Azumarill away from the Skuntank, should be okay, really. Any thoughts?
It was mainly just keeping away from the Skuntank, your Azumarill. Everything else, as you said, the Venomoth, there's enough on your team that you could be able to take that out very quickly, really. Yeah. I'm not a big fan of Sandslash in this cup. I just think there's so many things that can hit it well. And for what you gain from it, you don't really get that much. And again, with the fighters, I lean more to the charmer side of thing if I was going to have one of them. So, yeah, I know Medicham it's Medicham, so it's brilliant.
Yeah. And the nice thing about playing against Medicham rather than Toxicroak is that because it's neutral to dark, I can still feel comfortable using the Alolan Muck safe switch, because the dark pulses are going to put it under some serious pressure, which is nice. I know Toxicroak's squidgy, but I think I'd rather take a dark pulse with Toxicroak than I would with Medicham. And Toxicroak, you're going to have to shield the mud bombs as well if you want to take it on, which Medicham doesn't have that in its arsenal. So Medicham isn't too scary for me. So going into the first game, I'm gonna lead Quillfish to try and catch the Skuntank or the Muck, just to make it easier for Azu in the end. And then I've got Bronzong in the back as well as extra coverage versus the Venomoth and the Noctowl as well, which could give my Quillfish and Azumarill some trouble. So there's the Quillfish lead versus the Skuntank.
Okay.
So that's amazing for me.
Yeah.
Again, this is the nice thing about having a poison type that doesn't a neutral damage. A neutral damage against the other poisons, because it means you can take them on. You see, I switched straight to Azumarill before I see what even comes out, because I know it's going to be a better matchup than Azumarill versus Skuntank, so it seems like a fairly safe swap, and I don't want to let the Muck get too much energy, so it's a nice quick swap. He baited me with a Dark Pulse. I think he goes for it again here. And again, I just let it through because again, I'm going to let it through because what really all Azumarill is going to do after coming out of this matchup is going to be faced with Skuntank, so which I'm going to lose anyway. So as long as I take some sort of advantage out of the Muck, I'm happy. But it worked out brilliantly for me, and I'm able to get a shield off the Skuntank as well. So it's going really smooth. Switch out and save the charge move on Azumarill because I don't want to use it to take off that little bit of health. But then Noctowl's going to give Quillfish a tough time.
Noctowl's a very good mod in this tournament. I mean, it's good in general, but in this tournament, I think it's featuring on most teams. Just because it's so bulky and hits so many things quite well.
Yeah, and like against teams like Gens where there isn't an ice type or a steel type, it's almost no drawback play to bring it, isn't it? So yeah, the Azu comes in and uses the energy there, which is a bit more efficient, but it didn't really matter in the end because Bronzong's going to be able to clear up against the Skuntank or the Noctowl there. So I'm going one quite comfortably. Game 2, again, I'm going to expect an anti-Quillfish lead here, so I'm going to lead with Bronzong, and I get the Venom off, so that's really nice.
Called it really well there.
Now, I see the Dark Poison symbol in the top corner on the Switch, so I just automatically, I'm thinking Milk, so I go to Azumarill real quick, so that was a bit of a mistake. But I know I can chunk a Sludge Bomb and land a big hit. So I'm going to get the shield advantage, so it's not a disaster.
When did you change over to have the Hydro Pump? Because I know you started the month with the Ice Beam.
This was the first time I've used Hydro Pump.
Right.
Yeah.
There we go. So
yeah, I just found that it wasn't very good in the shields down scenario, and having that big hit, I thought would be more valuable. Just accepting the Noctowl weakness to my team, because I don't really have anything that's super weak to it. I just have things that get out bulked, so didn't really feel the need to massively worry about it.
There's a lot of people with Ice Beam on the team though, because you originally suggested it.
Yeah, sorry guys. But on some teams, I certainly would recommend it. If you're running a fighter and a normal type that runs with a ghost type fast move, then Noctowl is an issue there. So I do think in those scenarios, I think Ice Beam's absolutely the right play on Azu.
A lot smoother matchup here for you though. Seems to have gone really clockwork for it.
Yeah.
I suppose once you'd caught that lead straight away, he was on the back foot, so
yeah.
You're just letting that through there now.
Yeah, just letting that one through, and he goes for the undercharge as well to try and farm me, but I don't let him get away with it. Straight in with a Noctowl. That's going to be enough to wrap up game 2. And then game 3, I go to the double dark in the back, but I lead Azumarill this time, just because he's got Venom off and he's got Sand Slash. Sand Slash would lose, but it's the Venom off that concerns me with Quillfish. So
he managed to get enough out there at the beginning before he switched to hit that, take the shield.
Yeah, it's something I love about Muck. You can so again here I can tank a neutral hit, and you're gonna get a shield or big damage. Either way is good. In a tournament where I'm not so concerned about switch advantage, I think a Pokemon is like this. I've got 3 big moves off here.
Yeah, I was going to say I was impressed you got the third one then.
Well, I'm lucky. It's the Alolan Muck. It's I think it's rank 84, so it's really good IVs, and it's something like a rank 4 from a best friend trade. So it's about as good a Alolan Muck as people will have. And it lived on a slither there, so that was a bit of an IV thing there, I imagine.
I think the Snarls are so fast as well. I had started the month running Poison Jab myself and using that acid spray, but it can be too slow, and the dark is so useful. So
yeah, for sure. So we see Alolan Raticate come out with shields down on the opposing team. They overfarm a little bit and go for the Hyper Fang.
Have you used a crunch yet at all?
I don't believe so. Yeah, I don't think I've used one yet. No. Yeah, he's only able to get to the crunch there, so that's pretty good. And Sandslash comes in, and I've still got a Zoomerl in the back, so feels like I'm gonna have this. Strange decision to switch there, but I'll happily take it. And then I'm trying to switch to the Azumarill, and it's not happening for me. Takes me a couple of attempts, so he gets to a charge move. But it's only Ice Punch, I think. Yeah, Ice Punch. So I can still reach my Hydro Pump.
Would the rough player not have taken it down there as well anyway, then?
Possibly. I wouldn't want to say. It would have got it close if not. But I kind of thought, rather than going for the play rough and maybe killing, I'd rather sort of maybe get to the Hydro Pump and definitely kill, if that makes sense. Yeah. So just a sort of personal thing. I'd always rather go for the win than the close loss, almost, if that makes sense.
No, it does go for the killer blow. Yeah. It's having the confidence as well to be able to do that and not just take the quick move. And yeah,
I think it's certainly tempting to take that quick move sometimes as well. I think it just comes with practice, and the more you play these tournaments and sort of get yourself in these situations, it helps. It helps. And also as well, that was in the third round of a game that I'd won 2-0, so the pressure was off really as well. So I could just go for it. I think had that been a decider, you might have seen me go for the play rough. I can't promise you otherwise. So yeah, fairly straightforward round 4 against a team with some interesting picks that could have seen me come undone. So I was pleased with that. Round 5, I went on to lose. Again, that's in the first part of the video, and I got absolutely demolished, like 3-0'd, and I just didn't feel like I was in the game at all. It might be the most one-sided loss I've ever had. I tend to remember good games that I've had and really bad games that I've had, and I can't think of one off the top of my head that was a more one-sided loss than my round 5. So that's certainly something worth checking out. To go and learn from my mistakes. But round 6, I was paired up against R6 Racing R6, and I think they'd just beaten Jen in the previous round. So that sort of set off alarm bells for me.
We've got a Frostlass as well, so
yeah.
Everyone loves a Frostlass.
Everyone loves a Frostlass, me included. One of my favourite things to use. I remember as far back as Twilight Cup, it was my first ever monthly meta cup because I missed out on Boulder for various reasons I couldn't be asked. Can you imagine that?
No.
Yeah, so I missed out on Boulder, so I turned up to Twilight, and I turned up with a Frostlass, and sort of got a few funny looks, but my God, it did some work. So I'm always wary of Frostlass. But so the team is Frostlass, Azumarill, Medicham, Hypno, and then the double dark poisons. Hypno, Medicham, or Hypno plus Fighter is a real tough core for me to deal with. So that I was really quite concerned here. Have you got any thoughts?
As you said, the Hypno and the Fighter combined is a very, very difficult one for your team to overcome. And bring it back to Postlas, I just think it's such a quick Pokemon, and it has that options that not over 2 shields, but over 1 shield, it can win a lot of matchups. So I'm a big Postlas person. So
yeah, go on, sorry.
You know what you're getting from the rest, everything else, really.
Yeah, I think I desperately tried to fit Frostlass in, and I think I could run it over a little and Raticate, but I had this strategy in mind that I wanted to use, the whole Raticate Quillfish muck thing. So, and I wasn't quite sure how I saw myself using Frostlass, so I sort of I went with the pick that I saw more of a use for. I think Frostlass is going to be good in any situation here, as you say. Over 1 shield, it can take on more or less everything.
It's just glassy. It's really. I mean, comparing it to your A-Rat there, it's a lot more glassy than A-Rat.
Yeah.
You come up against, you get in the wrong situation with the Charmer, and you're gone in seconds. It's
but it's a lot more bulky than Quillfish as well on the other side of that coin. So it's not like its glassiness is something that puts me off. It's just I couldn't see its role within the meta. I think to be honest, it's one of those mons you could have on your team, and then if you're really unsure about what to do, whip out the Frostlass. It's gonna. It seems
like you know my strategy for this tournament already, Matt.
Don't tell anyone. So as I mentioned in a previous round, with Medicham being the fighter, I'm not particularly put off using Alolan Muck as the save swap because I can pressure it. So in round 1, I stick with the double dark strategy, but I choose to lead with the Azumarill rather than Quillfish, just because I don't want to be too weak to Hypno. So there's the Azumarill lead, and I lead into the mirror. Not a disaster, but I really want to be keeping the Azumarill around for a potential Medicham, or even a potential Frostlass. So I'm going to make sure he spends his energy, and then I'm going to bail. Now I've got him down to a Sludge Wave range now, so that's pretty good. So if he chooses to stay in, he's going to have to shield. Swaps to the Skuntank, and again, I've got an energy lead, and the Sludge Waves are going to do a massive chunk, so I can keep going. Sludge Wave again. I know a lot of people, the instinct is to go for Dark Pulse, but I think the extra damage from Sludge Wave is big there because 2 Sludge Waves kill, but I don't think 2 Dark Pulses would have.
No.
So don't be afraid of going for that bigger move for sure. I shield here, I think. Yeah, I shield here because I want him to get to a Sludge Wave, which I do. Then I want to save that to try and hit the Azumarill with later. So I swap out to the Raticate, and he brings the Azumarill back in. So I sort of twisted myself in a knot there, really, actually. So not a great play on my part, perhaps trying to overthink it a little bit. And you can see the A-Rat takes on the Azumarill fairly okay because of the bulk. I mean, it's obviously going to lose, but it's
and
not.
He's running ice on his Azumarill as well. I've just noticed that.
Yeah, that was a big moment because it meant I could bring Bronze on quite comfortably, and I'm really annoyed there that I don't get to farm down the Azumarill completely. Although it turns out to be just another Ice Beam, so it's not the end of the world. Yeah, I was relieved when the Ice Beam came through. I thought if that was going to be a play rough, I'd have been doomed. So I swapped to a Alolan Muck and then a shield anyway, so no real reason for me to do that swap. I think I just tied myself in knots this game a little bit, I think, and perhaps a bit too too paranoid about the possibility of a Medicham in the back, and if I'd have stayed in the mirror to begin with, I think it might have gone my way. But as it turns out, it wasn't to be.
Yeah, he's gone.
Still a close game though. Gunk shot, strange, but doesn't bother me too much. So after that, I go for a sort of different approach. I go with the Quillfish lead. It's safe against everything bar Hypno. And I get a good lead, or okay lead against the Muck. So I shield this one. As I say, I know I can take a Dark Pulse, but I'd rather stay in to begin with and make sure I get some damage racked up against the Muck. And I've got my Muck in the back as a safe switch as well if I need it. And then I've got the Noctowl as well, just for a bit of extra coverage against the Medicham. So I can be a bit more aggressive with the Quillfish than I could have been with a Azumarill in the first game, where I had to swap Azumarill out. So I come in with Muck to try and gain an energy advantage. Happy to take this because whatever it is, it's not going to do a great deal. Although Gunk Shot does a lot, to be fair. I was surprised he got to it, to be honest. And here's where we see what I mean about Medicham. The Dark Pulses are going to put a bit of pressure on him to shield, which is nice. So this one might take him out if he doesn't shield. So I'm expecting him to shield.
She does, yeah.
So it's going to get a bit squeaky here. So I'm thinking here that I'm going to go for the farm down, but they're not doing enough. So I go for the Sky Attack, and it's just in time. As it turned out, he was furiously tapping on a crunch here. So that would have cost me. Comes back in with Medicham. He gets lag here, but we spoke about it after the game. We sort of agreed that whatever he has on Medicham wasn't going to take the Noctowl out. So we didn't feel the need to replay that one. And in game 3, after the success of the Quillfish lead and the Muck in the back, in the last game, I switched back to my favourite line of Quillfish Double Dark. I'm expecting him to bring the Hypno this time in some form. Just now he's seen the Quillfish and he's seen that I'm not afraid to use it, and perhaps noticed how good it is versus his team. I'm really expecting the Hypno, so the Double Dark was a fairly bold call, but as long as I can keep the Raticate away from the Medicham, I should be okay. So I get the perfect lead. That's what I was targeting with Quillfish.
I thought he would have led with the Hypno, to be honest. I just felt that was going to come then.
Yeah, well, it would have been horrible. It would have been a much closer game. So I shield this just in case it's Psychic. I don't want to give up this strong position I'm in. Get the second Aqua Tail. And he lets that one through. So now he's at low health. I'm happy to let this one through. So even if it is Psychic, it's not the end of the world. It is, so Quillfish goes down, but I come in with Muck and can farm him a little bit. And again, the Skuntank comes in, so I'm going to go for the more aggressive Sludge Waves to try and take him out in 2. But he shields.
That bit of energy advantage you've got as well from building it up at the beginning.
Yeah, it's a huge help as well. It sometimes makes you feel a bit more comfortable going for the bigger move. So again, go for the bigger move, just for the extra damage. And then I switch to try and take the crunch with Raticate. And it is crunch, that works out nicely. And he has Hypno in the back. So Raticate just finishes the game here. So now I'm going for crunch. Finally seeing some use. Happy to let that through. rather save the shield for a potential sludge bomb from the Skuntank, which is again why I overcharge here as well, just so I'm closer to the next move against Skuntank. But as it turns out, I get there beforehand, so little difference made in the end. So yeah, after a sort of ropey game 1, being a bit braver and leading with the Quillfish in game 2 and 3 helped me through there. So yeah, I was really pleased with that.
Seems to be really working for you, that Quillfish lead, and having the double darks in the background there. Definitely is, well, obviously it's played quite well for you.
Yeah, it's as I say, like, people tend to have one earmarked counter for a Alolan Muck, and regardless of what else is going on, if they can line that up against the Alolan Muck, they will. So I can use that to my advantage by giving them the opportunity to do that, knowing that Raticate then becomes an absolute menace. And when I was thinking about what the right lead was to go with that strategy, I wanted something that could target down the fairies and the fighters, and not be dead weight against the darks as well. And Quillfish it seemed like a perfect fit, as much as it's a bit odd and frail and many other words.
Quillfish, mate. It's a big puffer fish. It's not even big.
No.
It's just. But it's certainly, you're proving that in the right strategy, it works very effectively.
Absolutely, and I think this is the beauty of Silph Cups. No matter how far something down is on the rankings, if you can come up with a way of using it, you can really catch people out with it. So yeah, it worked really nicely for me. So going into the last round, round 7 was against. Now again, I've actually played this guy on my channel before in Voyager Cup. Now I'm going to be bold and try and pronounce his name this time rather than spelling it. I'm going to go with Mindchuk.
The way you say it, mate, it sounds a little.
Oh, okay, right. I'll take that. Well, I can't now, can I? Really interesting team. So this guy, when I played him before, ran in Voyager. He ran Meganium and Shadow Blossom against me, and he wasn't afraid to use them both. He used them both, and that bit of knowledge sort of made me more alert to the fact that him running the double fairies against me is a possibility. Sometimes you see people with a double up of a type on their team, and you sometimes think, it might be a bit of bench pressure or whatever, but my experience against this guy sort of speaks against that, so that's something that I was bearing in mind. I still don't think he'll do it, I still don't expect it, but I've got to be aware of the possibility that it's a thing. So his team is Wigglytuff, Azumarill, Tentacruel, Alolan Muck, Linoone, and Bronzong. Any thoughts?
I think the double fairy is actually quite a good strategy to do, to be honest. I think it's quite nice, and it can catch people off guard because, as you said, nobody sees it really coming. And if you lead with the Azumarill and have that Wiggly in the back, it can be a killer blow. I know it's not got any real pressure, as in the sense that you're never doing a charge move. You're only ever going to hit them charms off. But yeah, I quite like that. Tentacruel, depending on the moves that it's being ran with. Again, the poison jab with the acid spray can be really dangerous. So there's a lot of coverage with that. No Noctowl, which I still think Noctowl's a must for this cup, to be honest. So
yeah, I think the more I use Noctowl, the more I see the value in it. Initially, I wasn't so keen on it because I sort of boxed it into a role as a fighting type counter when people weren't bringing fighting types. So in my mind, there's like, well, what's the place for that? But it's so good. I think
it hits so many things very well, and the Sky Attack's really super quick to go with. And you have got that Nightshade there that if you've got the time in the room, it can hit out some damage as well. So yeah, I like it.
Yeah, no, I do as well. But for round 1, I'm going to ignore it, and I'm going to stick with the Quillfish Double Dark. Why not? If he does bring the 2 fairies, I've got 2 poison types in there, with the ability to potentially try and draw some shields out with Muck. So let's see how it works out. So it's a nice lead. Quillfish Wigglytuff. It's the dream lead. And then he goes to Bronzong, which is the dream switch, because I can get Raticate in, and just wall it into next week. Bulldoze will do a bit, but Raticate's bulky, as we were saying, so nothing, is it? And then this is where the crunches is going to be really useful. Imagine having Hyper Beam here.
Yeah.
I mean, you still win, I think. You still get through, but it's
a long way to get there.
It is. It's a long way to Hyper Beam. Now, I think I'd get to a Hyper Van here. I did up a new Raticate before this tournament for the extra charm breakpoints, and that comes in nicely there. And then I'm able to maintain that switch, that matchup. I can tank all of its charge moves, but I'd rather not. So as we've seen, Quillfish is frail, so I'll just go for the charge move there.
See, I told you, but I mean, I got it in the wrong order, but
yeah. Now he's not seen Sludge Wave, so he might not be expecting it. And there we go. Yeah, so game 1-1, no shields used on either side. I don't think that's going to work again.
Yeah, you don't often see that at all, really.
Not at such a high level. Like, this guy's good. He's almost elite. This guy's good.
Well, you've both got that ranked tempos there, so...
Yeah. So I was expecting something to beat the Quillfish lead this time, so I ran with the Alolan Raticate lead. Obviously, I have to switch out, so I do my save switch to Alolan Muck. It brings in Tentacruel, which I think it's not an ideal matchup, but it keeps the Tentacruel away from the Azumarill that I've got in the back, so I'm content here. And I think I force a shield here. Yeah. So happy to let it go down. So I can get some use out of the Raticate now. And then by not shielding that, I didn't risk potentially wasting a shield on Acid Spray. So it seemed like the lower risk play. I was doing a bit of counting there, so I knew this was going to be an Acid Spray, so no need to shield that. Got the switch quick to Azumarill, so that was nice. So yeah, shields the Wigglytuff. Obviously, I'm going to shield here because I have to take out the Wigglytuff with Azu. Don't want it lined up against the rat if I've got any chance of winning this game. And I just about kill it in time. But he's got Azu in the back, so I mean, I've got a shield advantage and I've got energy advantage with the rat, but I'm too low health. So it feels like game over. So yeah, may as well shield. Miracles happen, don't they? And if he switches to the Tentacruel and lets me farm him, I could still pull something off. He just about gets to the charge move before I get to crunch, so I don't think the crunch would have killed, but maybe it would have. So I lose that one. Now I think this is the best game of the entire tournament. I go with the Bronzong lead because I've seen him lead Wigglytuff twice, so I go with that, and I'm face down with an Alolan Muck, like the worst matchup I could possibly have. So I safe switch to Noctowl. I bring Noctowl as my save switch here because he's not used Bronzong yet, so I felt safe doing it. And I managed to get a shield out of the Alolan Muck, which is good because now his Charmer hasn't got 2 shields, which is where they excel. I just get to the next Sky Attack as well, so I'm going to take a double shield advantage here. he wants to be able to maintain that Muck versus Bronzong matchup, so it makes sense that he keeps switch advantage here. Now I ended up stopping tapping with the Noctowl, or I tapped much slower, because that'll allow me to get 2 confusions off with Bronzong before killing the Wigglytuff, not 1, and that is actually huge, as we'll see. So I'm getting close to a Bulldoze, so I want to shield this. Again, I'm close to a Bulldoze, so I want to shield it. But I've not seen his last mon yet. And in the back of my head, I'm thinking he's got Tentacruel. So I choose to switch out with the Bulldoze, knowing that if he has got Tentacruel in the back, I've got a really good counter for it saved. And if he hasn't, or if he chooses to stay in, my Muck will beat his Muck because I've got the health advantage and I'll be able to build up some energy. It turns out that he's got a Azumarill in the back, which is fine because I get a big Sludge Wave off. I'll go for a Dark Pulse here. But he survives.
I was going to say that would be enough to take it down, but yeah.
Pubes, as we call them. So I come in and feint it down with 1, and I get the Bulldoze. Now he had a Dark Pulse there. It was just too slow. So that extra, that slowing down the taps from Noctowl to get that 1 extra confusion on Bronzong ended up winning me the game. Now, admittedly, had I just gone straight for the Bulldoze, I'd have been okay. It'd have been much simpler. But I just had this nagging feeling that he's got Tentacruel in the back, so I wanted to play it. Well, what I thought at the time was safe. In the end, it ended up jeopardizing the game for me. And yeah, so it was closer than it needed to be, but it was a good game.
No wonder you looked tired when you did your video last night.
Yeah. I hope you can notice I've taken the time to shave today for just for this. But yeah, it was a real good tournament.
And that was your weighted as well, so.
Yes, yeah. So I feel much more comfortable revealing all my secrets now. Not that the secrets did me any good in the games against Aaron and my round 5 opponent. So my round 5 opponent in particular, I still not quite got over such a beatdown. But yeah, no, I was really pleased with how it turned out in the end.
No, I think you did really well, mate. I mean, Aaron's a fantastic. I mean, he's really good. I've played him once or twice before, and yeah, he knows his stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
As you said, you got an absolute beatdown.
But we all get them from time to time, you know. We
do. Most people get them from you, so you know it's nice to see you get one, Matt. To be honest,
certainly a humbling experience. So yeah, when are you gonna 10x this month?
I was stupidly nearly going to do it at Sheffield the other night, and I absolutely got trounced. So I'm reinventing my team as we speak at the moment, trying a couple of new things out. Again, I think I'm in the position where I'm going to have to lose Frostlass from my team and get comfortable. So I think I might actually rank All Stars instead, give myself a bit of time to practice.
6 rounds as well. Hopefully.
Yeah, well, that's the idea. It'll be a decent sized one that I do. I don't want to do a little one this time. So, yeah. Hopefully the meta won't shift too much in that time.
No, well, I was expecting it to shift a little bit, but I feel like it's quite stable now. I feel like everything's found its place. I saw a lot more Skuntank than I was expecting to see, to be completely honest. So maybe we'll see more fighters popping up to combat that, but I don't know, it seems pretty stable to me. I think they did the right thing banning Obstagoon.
Yeah, you got a practice tournament in with Obstagoon though, didn't you?
I did, and it was wonderful. It was like Alolan Raticate on steroids. It was insane. That certainly would have seen a shift towards more fighters, I think, to deal with that. But yeah, it seems pretty stable, so we'll see how it goes. Well, let's leave it there then.
Yeah.
Really,
I was going to say, you're going very dark there at the moment, Matt.
I know.
I mean, the sunlight's gone down, and it is all going black around you.
Yeah. So for breaking the third or the fourth wall here, when we record this, I don't see my camera, so I'm completely unaware of the fact that it's gone dark until right now.
I maybe should have said something, but I didn't want to throw you off your flow.
No. I think people. Well, I hope people tune in for the PvP rather than this. So
I don't know. I think it's a little bit of both, mate.
Oh.
A little bit of both. You know, you're a handsome fella.
Wow. Well, I'll take that. Thank you very much. I'm new to this video editing stuff. Maybe I'll be able to find some sort of filter that lightens it up. But at the end of the worst comes to the worst, I'm dark, aren't I? That's as long as the voice works fine, that's all good. Yeah, no, it's been great to have you on, mate.
It's been a pleasure. Thanks for having me. It was a really good tournament to cover as well.
Yeah, I think it's always nice in these videos to see something a bit unusual, which sort of Quillfish is. But don't get me wrong, it's not like I was going out of my way to find something unusual. It just happened that way. Yeah, and I think when Beedrill comes out with Drill Run, I think I will be
change.
Yeah, I think I will be replacing Quillfish with that. And I think a lot of people will be using Beedrill, I would assume. But yeah, so it was quite nice to be able to build a team where I've just got a placeholder essentially. I don't need to rework everything once Beedrill comes around.
Yeah,
so that was good. So we'll see how the rest of the month turns out. Nice one. Well, catch you later, mate. Cheers.
Excellent. I'll see you soon. Take care.